Statistics cannot really tell the figures of what is happening, but can only explain the problems that have been reported because many cases might go undiagnosed. This can only explain why men's mental health is not that loud because men are expected to be men, which actually it's not really supposed to be. This week's episode of Let's Talk will be focusing or dissecting men's mental health as a topic. I am Olujoke Musako saying welcome and thank you for always watching Let's. And my special guest for today is someone you've met before. He is our fashion guru, James Akinyemi, a man of many parts. This time he will be helping us to do justice to the topic as we ride on this journey. He is a fashionista but also an expert in the area of mental health. So please stay with us as we go on this journey. But before we continue, I would want you to remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so yet and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you so much once again and stay tuned. Thank you, Mr. James Akinyemi, for coming on the show. It's indeed wonderful to have you here again and discussing another topic, mental health.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now what can you say about mental health?
Well, before I start, I would like to define what mental health is, and I want us to all understand that mental health is a state of well-being, and is how we all handle stress and react to the stress of life and day-to-day activities. And of today, with statistics has shown that a lot of mental health affecting men are not being spoken about, and men are basically a stronger character, and they are expected to be the breadwinners and to be strong, dominant, in control. So they hardly talk about their mental health, and so this is a focusing point that we all as human beings do react to different situations in life, and we handle things differently. And mental health in men is something that has to be looked into and has to be focused on. And a lot of men do go through lots of challenging situations in life, which has led to their mental health.
All right, so what is the state of men's mental health and why are we not really talking about it?
Well, I think the state of men's mental health is of a very high proportion because men are being characterized as being a stronger being. They are meant to be the breadwinners. They are meant to be a take charge kind of a person. So they don't actually want to see people to see the weakness in them. And in the past statistics, it has shown that a lot of men go through mental health as different causes. Let's say divorce, let's say financial problems, loss of job, loss of property mortgages has led to a lot of men committing suicide and men losing their marriages as well, family. This has been a very big problem. Even in the UK, the statistics even shows that men are likely to be homeless in a situation whereby they can't afford to cope with the stress of life. And most times men don't talk about mental health. They tend to like go into substance misuse such as drug and alcohol just to calm themselves down of their mental health, which has led to so much problems.
Mm. You know, when mentioning the UK right now, I actually, while I was doing my research also, I understand that UK has a fair share of men's mental health, whereby I think it's between 40 and 55 or so that they are always, at that age, the age range, that are always affected by this. Would you please shed more light on that?
Yeah, I think at that certain age, between the age of 40 to 50, it's a very tough one based on upbringing, based on at that certain age, you should basically have achieved a lot and in life, let's say do marriage, financial security. So at that certain age, a lot of men have had a mental breakdown, based on family background, relationship, marriage, which is the most common part of it, which is divorce. Divorce is the part is a part of it, whereby it send a lot of men into mental health issues, probably out of marriage and not be able to see their children or family, especially men who enjoy family life, and all of a sudden things went wrong, and they had to stay away from their family. This has led to a lot of homeless people, because I was having a conversation with an advocate of mental health, and he was able to explain to me that a lot of people who are turned out to be homeless are falling into this category. And these have led to a lot of problems in the UK, whereby there are lots of homeless people. And if you look at the statistics, it's between men between that certain age, we are single men, and they tend to not to afford a living for themselves, or financial background have been affected, and they can't afford to cope on or to have a job security. So they tend to go into drugs and alcohol just to complement their anxiety, and this has led into depression.
Hmm. Well, this is really pathetic. And now I'm very curious. I'm really curious this time. Why don't men talk about their mental health? Why do they have to bottle up things when you know that speaking out could actually bring you help?
Yeah, men are being characterized as a stronger being, as I said to you. It's an ego problem, because men are being designed to be strong, willing to protect their family, to protect their wives, to protect their children. So when they don't have this capacity to do these certain things, this leads to depression. This is a weakness. But I feel at this stage, it's a time for people to talk about their mental health. For men, there are lots of platforms in the UK, like the Mind, the Calm, Heads Together. I've been opportuned to work with a big mental health platform here in the UK, the British Red Cross. And also here abroad, there's a particular stigma of the immigration status, which has led a lot of people into mental health, whereby they don't have a status to live in a particular country. These has led them to being homeless, not having financial stability, and that led to them having serious mental health issues. And they tend to like go into a lot of substance misuse abuse. And this is part of the problem the government is trying to work on, and to get people to talk about it. The government have put out a huge funding to support mental health advocates, to get men to get actual support of how to reduce the amount of homeless people on the streets, and also to get them to talk about their mental health. Because when it comes to substance misuse, a lot of men tend to drink, go into alcohol to calm themselves down if they're suffering through depression. And I found out that the consumption of alcohol and drugs is not the result of mental health. Mental health we all have mental health, and mental health is a thing you have to talk about. There's no stigmatization that has to be about it. We need to encourage people, if they're going through challenges, to speak up, to talk to family and friends, so that they can get this kind of support they need.
Hmm. This is really something that is heartbreaking. Let's quickly go on this break. And when we come back, we continue from there. Please stay with us.
Hello everyone, my name is Janet Bablo, and I'm here to talk to you about a show called Let's Talk. Let's Talk is a show on DNT Work, DNTWOK on YouTube. I would like for you to, watch the show. I've been on the show. The show is educative, it's informative, it's amazing, and it's hosted by the one and only Olujoke Osako. So don't forget to hit the like button, make sure you share, and make sure you subscribe.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program is Let's Talk, and our topic has been men's mental health. And I've been discussing with our fashionista and mental health expert, Mr. James Akinyemi. If you're just joining us, there's so much you need to learn, so please stay with us and ensure that you see it through. Thank you so much, Mr. James Akemi, for standing by. It's nice having you here once again.
My privilege to be with you on this
Yeah,
show.
before we went on that break, you were talking about, I think you actually went into my next question, which is depression and coping mechanism. So I would want us to elaborate on this aspect because depression can, you might not really be able to see it in men as you can easily see it in women. That is why it's really cannot be diagnosed because we know that there's a lot of people suffering from depression or one thing or the other. Now, for a woman, recently we lost someone. She, Miss USA. She jumped from a very high building and she died. This is a woman who has achieved, at least with her age, she's 30. She was 30, and for someone to get to that point, she was also a good lawyer, and I think she's been helping people. But she came to that point that she decided to take her life. That means there is something that is beyond the beautiful face that we get to see, you know. And now that's for a woman. Now for men, it's not easy to actually see that. Is depression different for men? And what is their coping mechanism? Of course, you said they go into drug and all. I want us to really, really talk about this.
Yeah, I think depression in men and women can be categorized in different ways. Women tend to go into depression because they are weaker beings, and there are certain things that led a lot of women into depression, which is a huge part of it, which I've worked with a few charities in the UK, is postnatal depression. Postnatal depression is a big part of a woman's mental health, whereby having depression after childbirth, which could lead to a psychotic episode. And this is one of the biggest problems in the UK. And a lot of organizations have been working on this to protect women and children who have family members who are suffering through depression after childbirth. And also, men as well do fall into depression of starting a family, which is a big aspect. And a particular app has been created here in the UK, which is called the Baby Body app. I was privileged to work with the team of the Best Beginning Charity, which I had an opportunity to meet Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge, that is Kate Middleton, which was at the launching of this event. The Best Beginning Charity is one of the charities in the UK which supports women going through depression after childbirth. And they created this app to help women to see symptoms of depression after childbirth, because most times when having a baby, there are lots of complications that could come through of your mental health, of being coping with childbirth and the finances around this, or being homelessness, or financial problems, or even loss of a loved one could lead to depression. So a lot of charities around here in the UK are getting engaged with the social services and the mental health team to get people to talk about it, to get advocates. So I think men are more of a stronger being, and they tend not to talk about it when they are going through depression, because they believe they are meant to support their family, they are meant to provide for their family, they are meant to be the breadwinner, they are meant to be strong. So in this aspect, when people or men talk about mental health, people tend to hide under the platform that they are men, and they should not see the weakness of their status, of being vulnerable, of mental illness. And this is not meant to be so. It is okay not to be okay. You get what I mean? So people need to look for help, or if you have a loved one who is staying away from friends and family, they're associating themselves from any social functions. Well, you need to speak to them to get help, or to talk to platforms where they can get support for mental illness. Because we all, as human beings, have mental health, and there shouldn't be any stigma attached to it. So people need to talk about it. This is a huge problem around the world where people commit suicide, and it's always around the age of people around 40 to 49, where they believe they should have achieved a lot of things, and by this time, if they don't get these certain things, and they believe they are more of a lesser being. And I think that should not be the case. Life is meant to be fun. We're meant to talk. We need to engage to get people to talk about mental health. We get people to find help and support, not going into alcohol or substance misuse, thinking to hide the platform of mental health. So I think if people have action plans of how to strategize and meet mental health advocates where they can get support for their mental illness. This will reduce the amount of men committing suicide, or men going into depression, or taking alcohol or substance misuse in the community.
Okay, I want us to expand men's coping mechanism. Yeah, something that just came to mind right now is that some can, even if they are still married, they have a family, they could be violence, like domestic violence, and they could also, maybe those that are not married, the single ones, could actually venture into sex, sleeping with a whole lot of women. There are different ways that people tend to cope. Somebody may get angry, and because he or she is angry, some they just put that anger into working, just trying to clean. There's just something I know that 99.9% of, like what you said, is getting into alcohol, substance use, and all sorts. Now, can we just look at all of these areas to can men's coping mechanism also relate to domestic violence?
Yeah, for domestic violence, it's a lot of eyebrows were raised during the lockdown period, whereby most partners were working from home, and during the lockdown, we had a high rate of depression, and we had a lot of marriages were broken down because they had to stay with their partners, and they needed to work in a team. And most times when people go to work, there's these barriers of engaging with family, which reduces it, because most people, men who go through mental health, tend to diverse the capacity of their mental health into their job. They tend to focus on more of their job and neglect the family, just to hide that aspect of their suffering from depression. Some focus on alcohol, some focus on sex, sleeping rough, or sleeping with prostitutes, or sleeping around. And this is a huge part of a problem that the government is laying emphasis on, and trying to get advocates for people to talk about mental health. Some people, for financial backgrounds, uh, not being stable to pay their bills, or pay their house rents, or their loans, or car rents, had led a lot of men into depression. So I think the platform is all about finding where the balance is, help, which you have to talk about it, and meet an assessor who can actually help you to know what the basic of your problem is, and this can be resolved. So if the man is going through a divorce, it's a strong part of there's a strong possibility of a high level of depression that can chip in. Is somebody who actually is in love with somebody, and all of a sudden things has gone wrong, they cannot be together again. I've spoken to a lot of partners who have been divorced before, and I was able to understand that the platform of getting help is so much difficult now, And a lot of people find it difficult to talk about their problems. Even in marriages, there are lots of people who've got into depression because of their marriage or their partners being healed, or family background. But I think the most important thing is getting help, speaking up, because there is always somebody out there which can actually get you help. So if there's a particular problem you're dealing with, I think the best advice is to speak to somebody, a reliable person, a reliable organization. There are so much organizations here in the UK. We have the Thorough, we have the Mind, we have the Calm, we have the Heads Together, the Royal Foundation, which help a lot of men to get help if they're actually suffering from depression. You can go into exercise. I ran the London Marathon when I was going through a very challenging time in my life, and I didn't even believe I was going to be able to do it. And but the London Marathon is 26.5 miles, and I had to run that in 4 hours at a time when I was going through a lot of challenges. I just wanted to run. So exercise is a big part of mental health. So if you go into exercise, maybe jogging in the morning, this reduces stress. A lot of people don't know. Sometimes when people go to the gym, this actually calms you down. Exercise calms mental health down. If you're kind of person who has anxiety or bipolar disorder, I think getting help and signing up with therapists to for exercise could actually help your mental health.
Okay, now for those who are family, friends, and colleagues, how can they help someone with mental health? Now you've told us what the person going through the problem should do. So, what can we do to help such a person as family or friends?
Yeah, if you have a family who is going through depression, I think the best thing is just to be nice to them, to be friendly, to try to find out what the actual problem is. But what happens most times about mental health issue is there's a lot of family background that is attached to it. Some dysfunctional home, because sometimes when people come out from dysfunctional home whereby a partner and they are no longer together, children living separately, this has led to a lot of people going through mental health issues. But the most important thing is having a clear communication, how to network, how to talk to the right people, and pull things together by communicating, by sharing your feelings and talking out, telling people what you actually feel, and not just people who are into mental health platforms will be able to get the necessary help for you. Most times, people think taking medication could be a release of mental health. A lot of people have taken medication as well, which has a lot of side effects as well, because sometimes when you take medication as well, you probably might start putting on weight, or it starts making you dizzy. So but I think the most preferred way of mental health is communication and exercise, whereby you can pull out the stress. If you're going through depression, I think running really helped me at a point in my life when I was going through challenges. Exercise was a huge part of it that helped me to stimulate my mindset. And I think a lot of people should try to sign up with gym experts who can actually help them to cope with their mental illness.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. It's been wonderful having you, Drew. Do you have any final word?
Well, my final word about the mental illness is just to let everybody know that mental illness, we all have mental illness, and it shouldn't be a stigma to talk about it. Mental health is meant to be
Actually,
treated like malaria or any other thing, any other common diseases. It's something that people need to talk about, because everyone do has mental health in them, and talking about it is the best way to stop the stigmatization about it and get help. If you're suffering through mental health, try to speak to a health professional, try to speak to a therapist and get help, because everybody has mental health, and it's okay not to be okay.
okay, it's okay not to be okay. You are not alone in this journey. And as a man, you have to actually be around for those you love. So, speaking out doesn't make you less of a man, it just makes you more of a man. And anyone who seems to laugh at you is just, for me, that's just a sign of foolishness because they are supposed to help. So until next time again, when I come to you with another topic, I want to say, have a blessed day. Bye.